Hello everyone. Welcome to the presentation of our paper Motives: Fostering Parents' Awareness of Adolescents' Emotional Experiences During Gaming. My name is Günther Wallner and I'm happy to present this work today on behalf of all my co-authors Jesse Pepping, Sarah Skolte, Marnix von Wieland, Milan de May and Regina Bernhaupt from the Eindhoven University of Technology. The motivation behind this work was that games can trigger a variety of emotional experiences. They can, for instance, induce positive emotions, or they can alleviate negative ones, and they may serve as a positive coping mechanism, which, however, can also become maladaptive in certain cases. Moreover, they can be used for mood management by offering distractions, and they can be helpful to reduce stress. And this also holds true for adolescents, which, however, often struggle to talk about their emotions with their parents, and parents, on the other hand, may not always be aware of the impact video games actually have on their child. As such, we felt that such communication can benefit from mediators that can facilitate a parent-child interaction. To help bridge the disconnect between the emotional richness experienced by adolescents while playing video games and their parents, we thus designed Motis, a tangible data visualization artifact. Physical data visualizations raise different potential benefits, such as fostering active perception, stimulating non-visual senses, and contributing to the accessibility of the data. Through making the experienced emotions tangible, we therefore suspect to take advantage of those potential benefits in order to foster a more conscious interaction with the information. Motis works as follows. Through a webcam and a facial recognition library, the experienced emotions of a child while playing a game are tracked and submitted to the tangible device. The tangible device itself consists of a radial base which is split into 6 sectors reflecting the 6 basic emotions, such as happiness, sadness, or anger. An LED ring encircling the device lights up in colors to distinguish between the emotions and to indicate that the ball can be moved around the circle. If the user picks up the ball, which has a spherical magnet inside, it can be moved along the circle on the device, which in turn exerts forces on it and makes the user feel which emotions were experienced more or less often. When the ball is placed in the middle of the device again, it shows a summary of the emotions felt during the gaming session. That is, if the emotions were rather positive, like in that case, the green light, or if they were rather negative. For the visual aesthetics of the device, we followed the framework by Quilly et al., which states that the pleasing design seems to come forth from a well-balanced combination of objective and subjective information, as well as consignity. For instance, objective information is presented by using different colors, and subjective information by the ball itself when it starts blinking in order to create novelty and interest. In terms of consignity, the design incorporates the Gestalt rules by being symmetrical in all directions through using a round base and ball. For the interaction aesthetics, on the other hand, we follow the design framework of Van Sven et al. To ensure that the functions and user actions are well aligned. We allow for freedom of interaction, while at the same time guiding the user towards the intended functions by using different forms of feedback and feed-forward. In order to explore the effectiveness of motives for raising emotional awareness, we conducted on-site evaluations with different parent-child pairs. Potential candidates were screened for certain requirements. First, parents had to struggle, in some way or another, with the emotional bonding and involvement with their child, which themselves had to play video games somewhat regularly. And, as our core target group were parents with adolescents, we established an age range of 11 to 17 for the children. In total, 9 parents and 7 children took part in the study, who took part in pairs, yielding 17 unique parent-child pairs for the evaluation. For the parents, we had an almost even gender split, while for the children, we had slightly more males than females. In terms of procedure, we conducted a before-after comparison to assess the impact of motives. Each session lasted for about an hour and was conducted at the children's homes such that they could play in their familiar surroundings. A session started with informing the participants about the aim and purpose of the study and obtaining their consent. Then the child and the parent were split, with the child playing a game, Fortnite in our case, for 30 minutes to collect emotional data. While the child was playing, the parent was asked to provide general demographics and to fill out reworded subsets of the emotion awareness questionnaire to inquiry about the ability to differentiate the child's emotions and to assess the child's perceived ability to verbally share emotions. Next, the parents were introduced to Motis and were allowed to interact with it for 20 minutes, after which they were again asked to fill out the emotion awareness questionnaire with respect to the perceived ability to differentiate emotions and to rate the usability of the device using the use questionnaire. This was followed by an interview to gather additional qualitative feedback. These interview transcripts were then analyzed using thematic analysis. In terms of results, we could observe that parents' ability to differentiate emotions increased statistically after interacting with Motis. Taking a closer look at the individual questions, we could observe that Motis especially had an impact on questions which were related to compassion, that is, statements regarding the recognition of the child's emotions. On the other hand, questions about reasoning, that is, why different emotions were experienced, did not show statistically significant differences. This is, however, not surprising, as Motis does not offer feedback on potential causes for the experienced emotions. The verbal sharing of emotion skills of the children also showed no correlation with parents' increased ability to differentiate emotions. In terms of qualitative analysis, we derived several themes, of which I will focus on the three most prominent ones in the following, but all the details and as well as all the statistics can be found in the paper. To start with, the interviews revealed that Motis contributed to a positive feeling of awareness. Our results suggest that this happens first and foremost due to the consciousness Motis creates. For instance, one participant stated that Motis made me think about the emotional state of my child, which would normally not pass my mind that often, while another participant mentioned that when there is no device, you are actually unaware about the fact that there are these many different emotions that are going on while playing a game. The increase in awareness was, according to our participants, also supported by several aspects of the design. There was a strong consensus among our sample that the tangibility heightened the feeling of awareness. Participants, for instance, made remarks such as, "The tangibility influenced my feeling of awareness in a positive way, because it is not only the visual aspect that makes you more aware, it is also associated to the magnetic forces of the device." Or, "Motis made me more aware since I really needed to interact with it and experience it. The tangibleness supports that, since you really need to search for the emotions instead of just seeing it in a quick view on a screen." Participants also found that the appearance of the system itself contributed to its effectiveness, with parents referring to the design in general, how the device in itself created an urge for interacting with it, and how its use of colors contributed to its appeal. For example, one participant said that the colors make it very attractive to look at, and it makes you curious about how it works. However, while the results were generally positive, we also need to highlight a few limitations of the current study. First, the study was mainly exploratory in nature with a relatively small sample size, and it was also conducted within a short time frame, and as such more controlled and more long-term studies would be necessary to assess Motis' long-term use and its ability to support continued conversation. We also focused on parents only in this study, but since the device monitors the children while they are playing, their opinions about such a device need to be considered as well in the future. And this also raises several ethical considerations that need to be carefully considered in the design of such and also of similar devices. To conclude, our results show that making data tangible in a setting such as this one can help raise awareness and to engage with the data. This is likely because of several properties of the design, which can also be useful guideposts for the design of such and similar devices. First, it prompts interaction without being perceived as intrusive. Second, it requires proactive engagement with the data. Third, it offers information on different levels of details, which fourth, can also be accessed in different ways. We reflect on this a little bit more in the paper, but for today, that's it from me. Thanks for joining.